Hi, I'm Peter Kerbel, the owner of Data Science Consultants. In this video, I'll be doing an instructional tutorial on a blog post I made a while back for my website here at datasciencing.com under my blog, Let's Have Some Data Fun. And this is a blog series using the find and replace function in Excel. This part one here is Let's Have Some Data Fun with Excel, find and replace. So I'll open up Excel here, have it ready. This is the file I used in my blog post. This is a sample data set for a company that sells like handmade items. And each of these rows is an order. Here you have the time, date, time, category, quantity, gross sales, etc. In my blog, I showed you some basic uses of the find function. So I believe in all versions of Excel, to open up find, you can go hold down Control and click F. It pops it up, or in the latest version of Office 365 here, it's all the way on the right here, find and select. So click on there and click find. And so now we will type in here the text or numbers that we're looking for to find. So in example, in my blog post, we looked up vintage, so we'll do that again. Let's replicate that, and so I typed in vintage. Now you can either click enter because find next here is already selected, so it finds the next instance of the word vintage in any cell in this whole worksheet. And you can also click next, find next here, and it'll just keep going down. I'll just keep going down the list. If you want to know all the instances of that word or numbers in your worksheet, you can click the find all function here, and that will find all the instances of your word and numbers that you've typed in the find what, and it'll show them all here on the list. So we can left click here between the columns to fix the width so we can see everything. And for this instance, we found 644 cells with the word vintage. And so we can scroll here, and they're all seem to be in this column C. So we can assume, or we would assume that they're all separate orders. So we'd think there's 644 orders of vintage. Now here we notice that there's two different types of vintage categories, vintage accessories and vintage clothing. So if we wanted to look at the first instance of vintage clothing, we didn't type in vintage clothing here because we weren't sure how the data set was set up. We could just click it here, and that will bring you right to the cell that has that word vintage clothing. In this case, it is cell C29 is selected. So here's column C and row 29. Which is what it shows here. And so we can click to the next one if we want. Instead of clicking find next a couple times, we can just go to the next order of vintage clothing. If we know there's an issue with that order or an order in vintage clothing, we can easily find it that way. Also, to make sure that, for example, in this example, we want to know for sure that all these orders were the 644 cells were for sure all new orders. Make sure there wasn't the word vintage somewhere else here in the worksheet. We can left click on the column we wanted to look for, which is the category column here, and then we can open up find function and again click find all, and this will only find vintage in this column. So again, it shows 644, so there's 644 different orders with vintage. And I'll show you an example of why that's useful in this instance, and doesn't make sense if vintage would pop up anywhere, but let's say we want to know all the orders that had a quantity of 3 in them, and we just did open up find and just click 3, and we did find all. In this case, it's going to find all instances of the number 3 in this whole worksheet, all the different cells, and it doesn't matter if, for example, here 3 is part of a number, the cost here, or here's the customer ID. There's a 3 here and here, and here's the cost, and even here in time. So it doesn't matter where it is, it'll find 3. So we do not have 6,871 orders with quantity 3. It is actually just, though there's the number 3 pops up in that many cells in this whole worksheet. So this is where we'd have to left click and Control F and find all, and this is where we'll find how many orders in this worksheet have quantity of 3, and there's 37. So we can easily scroll down and we can see these are all in the same column here, column D. We can look at the last one. Maybe that's what we're looking for. Something happened in that order we need to check, and that was September 28th at 2:45 p.m. and it was an antiques sale. So we can check the SKU, and if something came up, we just knew that was the easiest way. Or the customer didn't remember their ID or anything, they just knew it's bought 3 items, so we could look at that easily that way. But we'd have to remember to click on that column. And again, you can, not again, I guess, but as well, you can click on a row, and then we'll just find an instance of a certain number there. So we'll pick, let's say, we'll try 3 again, see how many instances of 3. So we have 5. So 3 shows up here in the time, and SKU, customer ID, but it didn't. It just looked for this one row because that's what we had selected. So you can also do that as well if you just select whatever group for some reason, and it'll just find 3 or whatever it is it typed in here in just that selection, and that can help in different situations. Depending on what your problem you're trying to solve and what you're looking up. My experience, usually I would just select the columns to look. Once in a while, maybe the rows. So we really have to select the random selection. But you never know when you're doing something in Excel what you're going to have to look up. So that is the basic function for the find function here, and in my other blogs I talk about the replace function here, and I go to also the options here, match case, and I'll be doing match entire cell contents, and that will also show you some other options, what you can do with the find function in Excel, and I'll do videos there as well to go over exactly what I was writing about in my blog. And again, you can view that at datasciencing.com. And you can sign up there to get notifications when a new blog is posted. And you can also subscribe to this YouTube channel and like the videos, and leave me comments of what other types of data fund you want to have with Excel or other types of programs you're using. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.